So, this is part 2. Be sure to check out part 1 if you've not already done so. Here he is, look. Michael Massey, on his own in FIA race control, under so much pressure. It's so difficult being the race director on the middle of the pitch, on your own, in front of a crowd of 70,000 people demanding that you give their team a penalty, with 22 players around you screaming at you to make the right decision, and the two managers of each of the teams screaming at you because they want the decision, and you don't get the chance to just sit there in your little room with your 10 mates around you and can just take your time to decide what it is you're going to do to apply the rules of the sport. Poor old Michael Massey under so much pressure. Anyway, this video exposes how you have been lied to by the sport of Formula One. Okay, this is the lies given to you about the safety car in the sport of Formula One, because the safety car, nobody knows how it operates. But we do. There's rules and there's reasons. But the world, the media associated with this show, pretend. They lie to you and go, "Oh, what's going to happen now? None of us know. None of us can predict what's going to happen in the safety car. What jeopardy?" No, it is quite simple. And when the sports governing body claim that they don't know how the safety car works, the alarm bell should be ringing. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what it's for and why. You need to share this video with every Formula One fan that you know, so that they are educated and they realise that they are being lied to by the entire show. This corruption needs to be eradicated so that this sport returns to having a chance of being a clean sport, not impacted by a corrupt regime. So that image of Massey in FIA race control was from the 2019 Spanish Grand Prix, a Grand Prix in the season that Massey was FIA race director. This is tracker view of that same race, the 2019 Spanish Grand Prix. The race is being led by Lewis Hamilton. He's out here approaching turn 4. If you go back around the track, the next car on track behind Hamilton is an orange dot of Sainz. You look down this list on the right hand side, that orange dot of Sainz is in 11th position in that race. First, followed by 11th. What's going on here? Oh, it's a manual process to identify the lapped cars. Well, it was in 2021, apparently. Not in 2019, but in 2021 they reverted to the manual approach, the FIA tell us. Anyway, what this means is the leader Hamilton has lapped Carlos Sainz in that McLaren, who is in 11th place, which means if 11th place has been lapped, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th and 20th, they've also been lapped. That's the way it works. Anyway, pay attention to the orange and pink dot, which is coming down the start-finish straight. Norris and Stroll in the pink dot. Let's have a look.
Hamilton to come in after we saw the state of his tyres, but they're pitting Bottas first. So looking now to where Charles Leclerc is, he's just rounding the final turn and making his way.
Oh, the pink dot has come to a standstill.
Past our commentary box, Lando Norris has gone off. Lance Stroll has gone off with him in the racing points. And I wonder if this means a safety car.
And the orange dot is crawling back onto track, spraying a load of debris back onto the track as it makes its way back on track, but then ultimately retires with the damage. So 2 cars need recovering and the track needs sweeping. Oh, safety car, safety car. What's going to happen now? Nobody knows. Or is it that we do know? Because there's rules when you have to intervene in a race because of a safety concern. That being, there's now a car on the side of the track. If another car goes off the track and smashes into it, you might kill the driver. So you've got to get that out of the way so that that car will go into a softer barrier. that is designed to absorb the impact. You've got to clear the debris off the track, a safety concern. So when you deploy the safety car, what happens? I'll tell you in simple terms what happens. That race gets nullified. Everything that has happened to that point in time gets scrapped, totally wiped out for every competitor. And what has to happen is all of them cars have to bunch, and they have to be in the correct race order, as shown in the first part of this two-part video. And then, and only then, can we resume racing. We restart that race from a scratch position. The competitors in the correct race order, nose to tail. The regulations are written to achieve that. Let's just check that out, shall we? Let's just check what the regulations state, shall we? Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Is it this one here? So 48.1, as gone through in the first part. The safety car shall be used at least until the leader is behind it and all remaining cars are lined up behind him. That is when cars haven't been lapped. Okay, but when cars have been lapped, we apply 48.12. So let's have a look at 48.12. If the clerk of the course considers it safe to do so, meaning once that incident has been cleared and everything has been declared as being safe, you then have to follow this procedure. The message lapped cars may now overtake. So if there are cars that have been lapped, and you then send that message to all the competitors because the clerk of the course and the race director has determined that it's now safe to do so. Any cars that have been lapped by the leader will be required to pass the cars on the lead lap and the safety car. This will only apply to cars that are lapped at the time they cross the line at the end of the lap, which they cross the first safety car line for the second time after the safety car was deployed. In simple terms, that means all of those cars from Carlos Sainz downwards at this moment in time are already lapped. If they are still lapped, let's say Hamilton pits, and whilst Hamilton's in the pits, Sainz makes his way through. He's not lapped now, so he doesn't need to be released because he's already gone past and he'll make his way round to the back of the safety car snake. He won't be lapped at that stage. However, if that doesn't happen, if it's just Sainz downwards, they get released. If one of those other cars that wasn't previously lapped becomes lapped because after a couple of laps of that safety car, a car, for example, in 8th position, who's not currently lapped, goes into the pits and stays in them pits for quite a period of time. And whilst he's in the pits, that safety car snake goes by it, lapping that car. That's not eligible to be released. Hence, the regulations are written this way. Any cars which qualify are released. Not all cars, because there might be some cars that don't qualify. So the new wording of the regulations that they tell you has fixed the problem. Hasn't done that. Anyway, having overtaken the cars on the lead lap and the safety car, these cars should then proceed around the track at an appropriate speed without overtaking and make every effort to take a position at the back of the line of cars behind the safety car. Whilst overtaking, and in order to ensure that this may be carried out safely, the cars on the lead lap must always stay on the racing line unless deviating from it is unavoidable. Unless the clerk of the course considers the presence of the safety car is still necessary, once the last lapped car has passed the leader and the safety car will return to the pit at the end of the following lap. Okay. If the clerk of the course considers track conditions are unsuitable for overtaking, the message "overtaking will not be permitted" will be sent to all competitors via the official messaging system. That line at the bottom, if the clerk of the course considers track conditions are unsuitable for overtaking, the message "overtaking will not be permitted." Do you think that that means that they can start racing again without carrying out that procedure? If you do, you are retarded. It's not safe for overtaking, so let's race. Well, it's not safe to overtake, so to race, you are trying to overtake. but you're not allowed to overtake because it's not safe. So you're not racing. Oh, mind-blowing, isn't it? Crazy shit. So all that means is if it's not safe, you continue lapping behind the safety car until it's safe. And once it's safe, if there are lapped cars, those lapped cars get released and the safety car has to stay on track for a further lap to give those released cars the chance of making it round to the back of that pack, so that we've got and re-established the correct race order with those cars, all of the advantages that had previously been built up, all wiped out. And we reinstate the scratch position, effectively restarting that race from scratch. Because when a safety incident affects a race, that race gets obliterated. All that had gone before it gets wiped out. And you effectively start from scratch. And that applies to all of those remaining competitors in that race. That's the way it works. But the sport and the media don't tell you that. The sport governing body cannot tell you that. And they get their media to say, oh, what's going to happen now? We don't know what's going to happen now. Anything can happen now. None of that is true. That's not true. When you have a sport, you have a set of regulations and procedures that sport has to be conducted within. And if a sports governing body in charge of setting those procedures and enacting those procedures makes a claim that it doesn't even know what those procedures are and doesn't even understand why I don't even know why them rules are there. What are they for? It seems to be, according to the FIA and their report, which I'm going to go through. So make sure you subscribe to the channel for when I do that, because you won't want to miss this one when I produce it. Where is it? Is it this one? No, not this one. This is a TV audience of 108.7 million that have been lied to. Which one? Here it is. The FIA, this is their official report into Abu Dhabi. It was apparent from the analysis that there could have been different interpretations of Article 48.12, because we didn't know. We didn't know what it was for. We didn't realise that when you deploy a safety car into a Formula One Grand Prix, it ruins the race. It means that all that had taken place before that moment in time gets wiped out. And the only way you're allowed to go racing again is when those fair restart conditions have been created for all those competitors still competing in that race. Because what you're not allowed to do is just separate out just two of them cars and go, oh, actually, the rest of you, we're not interested in you. We just want to see who's going to win out of this one and this one. Because that's cheating. You are fixing the outcome. You are selecting which competitors are allowed to win an event. That's corrupt. That is result fixing in sport. Oh, but the governing body doesn't know that. It doesn't seem to understand that. It wants to tell you, oh yeah, it was apparent from analysis that there could be different interpretations. Let's go and see what the truth is, shall we? Let's see the truth. So let's go back to I'm losing my tabs here. Here we go. Spanish Grand Prix 2019. What we've just seen then is Lando Norris and Lance Stroll come together at turn 2 and safety car.
Norris has managed to get back out on the track. There's a lot of gravel as he goes right across the track there. Bottas is ahead of Leclerc, just to let you know, after that pit stop.
A virtual safety car or a full safety car will give a cheap pit stop now to anybody.
Safety car's coming out, Martin.
So that
safety car is coming out. Okay, if for those of you that want, you can count how many laps Hamilton does. Here's Hamilton now. Okay, he's at turn 11, and have a count of how long this takes. How long will we wait? And we'll have a look. And you can listen to these guys speculating and giving it the bullshit. Just have a look. Rather than listen to the shit, watch with your own eyes what really happens. Here we go. I'm going to predict that once that safety car comes out on track, this field of competitors will bunch up. All of these dots that are spotted around the track will bunch up. Once that incident has been declared safe, and once that track has been swept, so it's all safe to go racing again, the clerk of the course will declare it as being safe. The race director will give the message to the lapped cars that you may now overtake, and he will keep that safety car on track for at least a further lap to enable those released cars the chance of catching the back of the pack to make sure we achieve valid restart conditions for this Grand Prix. That's just a prediction. I might be totally wrong. I mean, let's face it, it's Formula One. Anything can happen. None of us know the truth. None of us know the rules. Especially a guy that was a driver in the sport for 10 years and has commentated on the sport for 28 years as being paid by the sport to tell you about the sport, but he doesn't know. How long will they wait? And I don't think it's mandatory that they release the cars. I think that's just on a wet day in Spa that they don't do that. Look, they never have, because that's just lies, because the rules changed in 2012 because they realised sporting fairness, underpinned by the FIA International Sporting Code, this governing body that doesn't understand its role. All a bit strange, isn't it? All a bit strange that those people, legally, they don't know. They don't know. Let's have a look. Let's have a look.
That plays into Hamilton's hands then, doesn't it?
Okay, Lando, do you have any damage? Do you have any damage?
I'm sorry, guys. I'm out.
Can you bring the car back? Can you bring the car back?
No, I can't. I'm sorry, guys.
No, he stuffed it over the track.
You rather think then it might have been Lando Norris's fault, that incident, from the way he was speaking there. But the safety car now deployed, and this is going to close the whole field up as through turn one when Lance Stroll and Lando Norris around the outside, and as he went into turn two, Lance Stroll's got the advantage. Norris was trying to squeeze through, and
the commentators do understand that it's going to close the entire field up. Let's listen to what else they've got to say.
McLaren behind him.
Hamilton has pitted, the race leader, and gets that, well, cheap pit stop, because he can come in and not lose as much time in comparison to others who have just pitted.
So notice when I said Hamilton might pit, and if he pits, and previously Carlos Sainz and was lapped. When Hamilton pitted, Carlos Sainz became unlapped. Okay, so therefore that is what has happened there. Where's Giovinazzi? Giovinazzi, by the looks of things, because Sainz is directly ahead of Giovinazzi, that burgundy dot, it's highly likely that Giovinazzi will have been lapped twice. Let's see, because that's what the race order would kind of indicate. Let's have a look on data view. Because we don't have the technology to actually understand where the cars are and who's the lapped cars and who isn't the lapped cars. So down here, Giovinazzi's been actually Russell plus 2 laps as well. So there are cars here that have been lapped twice, and it looks, in fact, Giovinazzi was 2 laps down on Hamilton. Actually, he's only a lap down on Hamilton when we come back to this, because we've got data view here, so we can look who's the lapped cars. Sainz is now unlapped. It says it on the data view. Okay, previously we know he was a car that was behind Hamilton when I first showed you this. Now he's showing that he's not plus 1 lap. Let's go back to tracker view. Okay, so Hamilton's here. Giovinazzi's still a lap down on Hamilton, so he's almost 2 laps down. He would have been 2 laps down. And who's behind him? Albon. Let's see on data view. Does data view tell us that Albon's a lapped car? Albon, plus 1 lap. Oh, incredible. You know, back in 2019, the good old days, the heyday of Formula One, when they had the technology that was capable of identifying even who the lapped car is. Because up until 2021, it had been a manual process of identifying who the lapped cars were, which is so difficult for that race director and all of the other 10 FIA personnel up there in the air-conditioned office of FIA race control? Who's telling the truth there? Who's telling the truth about how these cars are identified as being lapped? Are these screens just made up after the event, or are they like real-time screens that you'll see when they cut to the pit wall? You'll see that the pit crew, the engineers, the strategists are looking at monitors which have got this sort of data on them, so they can see. Oh, but no, in FIA race control, we're old school. We just like doing it manually. Radio. That's believable, isn't it? Anyway, what seems to be happening? All of these little dots that were scattered around the track, they appear to be bunching up. Who would have thought? You know, I could have never have predicted this, because this isn't a sport that you know, it's a highly technical, complex sport, you know, data driven. You couldn't predict it, could you? You couldn't predict any of it. You know, there's no data, there's no rules, anything can happen. This is Formula One. It's only live once. Just stay excited, kids. Just keep giving us your money, you gullible twats. Nobody understands the rules. That's right. Okay, nobody understands the rules. Nobody understands the rules. It's all so complicated. You couldn't make it up, could you? Or could you? Could you manufacture it? Could you employ media to condition minds to lie to people, to present somebody as being the expert, and get them to lie to the fans of the sport, to condition them and convince them of a narrative, convince them of something that you wanted to make happen by lying to them about what was possible to happen? I wonder if that's possible. I wonder, it's only 2019. There's no way we could do anything like that, is it? There's no way that we could condition the minds of people in this world to make them think that us fixing an outcome is in any way authentic. It's not possible, is it? You know, so when we get a Grand Prix and get a global audience of 108.7 million people to watch it, how on earth can we get all of those people to believe that what's going on is actually true, and that we're not breaking the rules to make something happen? I've no idea. No idea. Anybody got any ideas how we could make that happen? Let me know what you think in the comments section. Anyway, let's go back to Sky Sports, because all of these dots seem to have bunched up now. Let's see what they're saying. Is the track clear? How long will they wait? Oh, they don't have to let the cars through. I don't think that's mandatory, says Martin. That could be in the set of regulations that are called optional regulations. You know, that set of regulations that doesn't exist, because regulations and procedures aren't optional. Because what's happened now is that, oh, Alex Albon, who's Alex Albon behind? Oh, he's behind Carlos Sainz. Oh, Alex Albon's now a lap behind. Oh, just because Lando Norris has crashed with Stroll, it means that now this guy, Alex Albon, in 11th, who was trying to get a world championship point for 10th, he's now been held back a lap. You're not allowed to do that, are you? No. Oh, we must have some regulations that prevent that skewed outcome when a safety incident ruins a race. The only way we can resume racing is if we now reinstate the correct race order with all cars nose to tail. And we can't do it any other way. Why is that? Because if we drop these cars back, then these cars that are dropped back, they won't have burnt off a lap's worth of fuel. They won't have burnt off a lap's worth of rubber in travelling that lap to make sure they're on the same lap as the other cars they're competing against. That skews outcomes as well. But the FIA are gonna do a little bit of research to decide the best way of releasing those lapped cars to ensure this can't happen again. Oh, but they can't. They've never told you that, have they? Martin will tell you, oh, I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't care what you like, Martin. This is the rules of the sport for these exact reasons that you were paid to lie to people about to keep them excited. As long as you keep everybody aroused and excited, Martin, you've done your job. Anyway, let's predict what's going to happen now. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
He positioned his car. It wasn't a leery move.
He wasn't ahead at any
I think
time.
I'm giving it 6 of one, half a dozen
How
of
long
another.
will they wait?
It wasn't ahead at any time.
No, he
Lando
wasn't.
Norris, was he?
But he was close enough in there to be entitled.
Are
in my
they going to
view,
bring the safety
to be
car in at
entitled
the end
to
of
some
this
space.
lap?
Others will say, well, look, he wasn't going to get through there, he should have lifted off, but that's not what racing driving is all about.
I'm not
Everybody
surprised
wants to
Sebastian
see a
Vettel was
racing
asking that
finish.
question about pitting again, Martin, but because there are no new sets of tyres to stick on, I suppose for Ferrari it's just keep it as it is.
Yeah, so
the
where
time
are
being.
they? Where
What
are they in
jeopardy?
the queue? I mean, that played beautifully for Lewis's blistered
absolutely.
tyre, and they didn't bring him in first, either of the two Mercedes, because he'd got 11-second lead at the time. He's right at the front of the queue. Bottas has got to be at least 6 down. Vettel and Leclerc, 8 or 9 cars down in the queue, maybe 10 cars down in the queue.
Well, I mean, they're going to have to release the lapped runners and riders out of this queue before we can get going again. The thing is, when we have the restart.
What? Back in 2019, what did you know, Crofty?
I mean, they're going to have to release the lapped runners and riders out.
Yeah. Oh, I thought it wasn't mandatory, Martin. I thought on a wet day in Spa, you didn't have to do that. I thought it was optional.
To this queue before we can get going again. The thing is, when we have the restart.
So just think about rear brake temperatures. Front calipers are getting quite warm. The rear brakes are stone cold.
It's been stamping on those brakes behind the safety car. But when we get going again, Hamilton, Bottas, Verstappen and Leclerc all are going to be on tyres, Martin, very similar in age. Sebastian Vettel, 6 laps older than those around him. As Lando Norris walks back with his crash helmet still on. Apologising, as you heard, to the team on the radio. I think feeling himself that it was his fault. Now the lapped cars may overtake. And
Crazy shit.
there are 1, 2, 3. Yes, well counted.
There were 8. Oh, you were able to count them in Spain, 2019. But in Abu Dhabi, we didn't even know who the lapped cars were. You know, it's not even that easy to identify who the lapped cars were. You know, because when you look at data view, you can't just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, 2 of them are 2 laps down. Oh, yeah. Incredible, isn't it?
Alex Albon, Nico Hulkenberg, Daniel Ricciardo, Sergio Perez, Kimi Raikkonen, Antonio Giovinazzi, George Russell, Robert Kubica.
And it's ending!
Can
Wow!
all now overtake. Now, whether they are going to be allowed to catch up to the back, I'm not quite sure.
Well, that's going to sort the restart order out nicely for us, isn't it?
Yeah, because that's what the regulations are.
They've elected to do that.
Well,
they've elected to do that, okay? It's why would you elect to do that? Is that because you need to have a look at these? I've elected to follow the mandatory safety car procedures, okay? It's now safe to do so. The message has been sent, and these cars are now unlapping. Oh, have they elected that?
This is why they brought this rule in. The lap cars can overtake just to get out of the way of those on the lead lap.
Not to get them out of the way, right? The whole
fighting for position.
The whole race has been nullified for everybody. You can't leave some of those competitors now severely disadvantaged from that pre-accident condition. Where was Albon relative to Sainz before Norris and Stroll crashed into each other? you can't enable the fact that 2 drivers have crashed off there, and that has caused Albon to basically have his race obliterated. He's in 11th position. He's got no chance of getting a top 10 finish now because he's been left a lap behind. Right? So you've got to carry out these procedures. Oh, they've elected to do this to get them out of the way. That's not the reason, is it? That's not the reason. Lies, narrative by these fucking talking heads employed, paid handsomely to lie to the world. They lie to your kids about a sport. How fucking damaging is that, these bastards? Absolute bastards.
The back markers don't get in the way of the restart.
It's one of Charlie Whiting's, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Concepts.
But now Charlie's dead, we can lie about it.
It get a bit frustrating on a very long lap sometimes. But there they are, the 8 that were allowed through, and that's it's going to give us a nice clean restart. It's not mandatory. It's not absolutely certain. Depends on weather conditions and the stage of the race that you're at. But
let's check that, Martin. It's not mandatory. It depends on race conditions and the stage of the race that you're at, because it will say that in the the safety car rules and regulations, won't it? So 48 point, the safety car. Once you have to intervene in a race with a safety car, it's not mandatory. So let's have a look. Okay, the safety car will be driven by somebody from the FIA. Thanks for that. 48.2, the pit lane opening for a reconnaissance lap. So this is before the race, how the safety car gets utilised before a race. It may be used to it might be brought into operation. Sorry, it scrolled down there. Brought into operation to neutralise a sprint qualifying session or a race upon the order of the clerk of the course. So it basically obliterates it. Neutralises means it's just completely nullified all that's taken place before it. Okay. When the order is given to deploy the safety car, you'll get a message. Okay, thanks for that. That's nice and informative. No car may be driven unnecessarily slowly. Safety car will join the track with its orange lights on. All competitors must reduce speed. Thanks for that. With the exception of the following cases, no driver may overtake another car. So overtaking is not permitted during the safety car period. 48.9, when ordered to do so by the clerk of the course, the car will use its green lights to signal any cars between it and the leader that they should pass. So basically, when that safety car gets deployed on track, if it picks up other cars before it picks up the leader, then the safety car can signal to some of those cars to pass it, and it can release those cars, and so that the first car behind the safety car is the lead car. That's all that regulation states. 48.10 applies when cars have not been lapped in that race, and that is saying that the safety car must be used until the leader is behind it and all remaining cars are lined up behind that leader. 48.11 says that under certain circumstances, that safety car will bring the cars through the pit lane. For example, if the incident being cleared up is on the section of track outside the pit lane, it's actually safer to, rather than keep lapping them around that bit of incident that is being cleared up, just bring them through the pit lane instead. 48.12 is saying, okay, when cars have been lapped, we need to do this procedure, which is to release those cars that have been lapped and then give them one further lap of the safety car with which to catch the back of the pack to restore this scratch position to go racing again. 48.13, when it's safe to do so, to call it in, the message safety car in this lap will be sent to the competitors. Okay, so we've completed all those procedures, we've done all those things. Okay, we've operated everything in that manner. Now it's safe to go again, and we'll call the safety car in. Okay, so 48.14, each lap completed while the safety car is deployed is counted as a lap of that race. If the safety car is still deployed at the beginning of the last lap or is deployed during the last lap, it will enter the pit lane, but the cars will take the end of the race as normal without overtaking. And then we go on to Article 49. So there, 48 is all the safety car procedures. 49, we go on to virtual safety car procedures. Where in Article 48, these are the procedures you carry out once you've deployed the safety car. Which one of them say optional? If certain conditions are met, you apply these. So if cars haven't been lapped, 48.10. Okay, and then you may even use 48.11 if you're taking them through the pit lane. 48.12 only applies if cars have been lapped, and then you send the message out safety car in this lap, which is 48.13. 48.12 applies in place of 48.10 once you're in a situation where cars have been lapped. What's optional? There's one criteria or another. Whichever one's met, you apply the right regulation. It's not optional in terms of, oh, shall we go racing with lapped cars in situ? Where does it say that's an option? It doesn't. There's a reason why it doesn't. Because it skews outcomes. You can't obliterate the chances of any driver due to a safety incident. That's what the regulations say. What does Martin want to tell you? What does Martin want to tell you?
It can get a bit frustrating on a very long lap sometimes. But there they are, the 8 that were allowed through. And it's going to give us a nice clean restart. It's not mandatory, it's not absolutely certain, depends on weather conditions and the stage of the race that you're at, but it seemed to send.
Was any of that stated in the regulations? It's not mandatory, it depends on the weather regulations, it depends on the state of the race that you're at. Does it say any of that? No, it doesn't. No, it absolutely does not. Oh, in a football match, you don't play the offside rule on a wet day in February, and especially in the last 3 minutes of the game, the offside rule doesn't apply. I don't think it's mandatory. I think it's optional. Is that what the rules of a sport say? No, it's not really, is it, Martin? Why are you lying to children? Why are you lying to naive minds?
Sensible decision right now, didn't it? Because that's energised this race beautifully.
That's energised this race beautifully. No, what it has done, it has cancelled out all of these laps where, this is a marathon, not a sprint. Over the course of that marathon, all these advantages have been built up. People have worked hard to gain those advantages. All of that has been wiped out for everybody. And now we're restarting with just a few laps to go. That's what's happened. Oh, that's energised it. That's made it exciting for you all again, hasn't it? Keep watching, everybody. This has reinvigorated the race that you'd all got bored of. Because you thought, oh yeah, this guy's clearly going to win. Oh, now it's exciting again. Anything can happen. We like the safety car, don't we? Yes, we like the safety car. It reinvigorates the viewer.
It's the concept absolutely spot on. I'm with you. And you've said it many times over the years. It's a shame they can't just drop back rather than overtaking and going round again.
Because if you drop back, you have not used the fuel that it takes to make one lap of that track, which means you can potentially push harder. We're told that some of these cars are under-fueled, right? With the anticipation of lapping behind the safety car. If you've not used a lap of that fuel, you can push that harder. That gives you an unfair advantage. If you've not used those tyres for one of those laps, you've not used that rubber, you can push harder. It's a skewed outcome. So therefore, you have to release these cars. You have to make those cars use that fuel, use that rubber, end up in the correct race order behind the competitor that they're allowed to be challenging. And then them conditions are fair to every competitor.
But until they sort out a way for the timing screens to update so that...
because we just lose another lap.
Oh, it's the timing screens that's the problem. Look at the lies that they're telling you. Look at the fake excuses.
Or two, especially as I say, on a long lap like Spa, for example, it gets...
it gets really tricky on a long lap. As if that's another variable. making it up, gaslighting, embellishing a story to take you along on this wave of bullshit.
A little bit tedious, but we'll take it. We'll take it for now. But if they drop to the back of the field, they're a lap down anyway. Then they can stay a lap down.
There's a gorgeous arm.
So they're a lap down anyway. They can stay a lap down. So what you're saying is Albon should have just dropped down here, and he's no longer allowed to challenge for a top 10, because the only way he can challenge for a top 10 is from being in this position that you've now artificially put him there. He's got to make it all the way around here, right, catch the lap, and only after he's done that can he then challenge Sainz for 10th. That's not fair, is it? That's not why the sport is what it is. But thanks for your valuable insight. Thanks for your opinion there, Martin. Let me know what you think in the comment section, please, Martin Brundle, with your valuable fucking comment. Just like the rest of these fucking strap-on fans that are fucking clueless.
Afternoon here in Barcelona, Martin. Sun's out, blue skies, few wispy white clouds overhead, nice warm temperature in this middle part of May. But if you're talking temperature...
But why are these strap-on fans fucking clueless? Because they've been lied to. And those lies fit the narrative that they like. Oh, I like that. That validates the thing that I like. So I will believe that. I don't have the brain to understand, to challenge that, or actually unpick it and realise that it's bullshit. And instead, I will fight for that cause to validate my favourite driver.
Tyres and brakes getting very cold on those cars now. And it's going to be so difficult for the drivers after quite a few laps behind the safety car to try and manage those temperatures, so they're in a position where the equipment can let them go and overtake and brake a bit later.
So this is that lap given of the safety car, and this is the safety car will return to the pits at the end of the following lap. So this is that lap that they've given these release cars. Let's just confirm this. Okay, I'm going to just chunk back for a second. So these are the cars that have been released, these 8 cars here. Okay, Hamilton's now coming on to the pits. So they've been released. The safety car will return to the pits at the end of the following lap. So this is that mandatory lap behind the safety car. So we'll chunk it forward again. Okay. So we're through to here, about where we were. Okay, and let's have a look.
This all season, they've been 1-2 at the checkered flag in every single race this season, looking for a 5th consecutive 1-2, finish it with tie.
And we're about to go racing again because the safety car's about to come in and we're about to get underway again.
Best ever run in Formula One. They did it in 2014 and across 2015 and 2016 as well. Ferrari also managed 5 1-2 finishes in a row.
And how long will they wait?
Final 5 races of 2002, but it's under pressure now because the field are so close together.
Verstappen's going to feel under pressure. 2 Ferraris behind him with DRS and their power down the straight. This brings them all back.
And it's ending, wow!
Into the fuel window, of course. 2 or 3 laps coasting behind the safety car sorts any fuel issues out, so they should be able to go for it. Safety car.
Oh, them fuel issues that become even more of an issue with your proposal of, I don't like this. Let's just drop them back, and they're already a lap down, so they can stay a lap down.
Car goes round again because we've got to wait for the lap runners to catch the pack.
Yeah.
Oh, because we've got to wait for the lap runners to catch the pack. Your story's not consistent, is it, Martin? Why is it that the sports commentators don't have a consistent story to tell us? 199 Grand Prix, 198 up until Abu Dhabi, under these regulations. And they've not been able to develop consistency. A bit strange that, isn't it?
Behind the safety car sorts any fuel issues out, so they should be able to go for it. Safety car goes round again because we've got to wait for the lap runners to catch the pack.
Yeah.
I think as long as you let them go by half a lap, you could get on with it. But anyway.
Do you know what this is? This is Article 15.3, the race director's overriding authority over the use of the safety car. the race director will look at the situation manually because he doesn't have tracker view or data view. So he can't see where these cars are relative to the leaders because he's made sure they got out of the way of the leaders, because that's the most important thing. They're out of the way of the leaders, not interfering. Okay. I don't think they're interfering now, are they? They're not interfering, are they? Because the main point of that rule is to make sure they don't interfere with a duel. That's not the main reason, is it, Martin, that you keep lying to us about? Are they interfering? No, they're not. So what's he doing now then? I wonder what's he doing now. Oh, he's ensuring sporting fairness to all competitors. Right? Using 15.3, his overriding discretion, his overriding authority over the use of that safety car by keeping it on track for an additional lap to ensure that those correct restart conditions are met. That's not cutting short mandatory procedures. He doesn't have the overriding authority for that. Okay? He doesn't have the overriding authority for that, which has actually been found by this court ruling that states that that's how it really is. He doesn't have the overriding authority in that manner, and I'll do a video on that and I'll expose what is true about that one as well. So this is what he's doing, keeping it out there for another lap beyond the mandatory lap, 2 laps beyond the release before they go racing. Here we go.
Got another lap now, but I think Verstappen will be the man under pressure from the Ferraris.
But don't forget the 2 Ferraris as well, Martin, could also be under pressure from Pierre Gasly behind them. Gasly's on the soft compound tyre. The 2 Ferraris are on the mediums. Could Gasly, with those racier, grippier tyres, be putting a challenge into the Ferraris as well? This could be a mega restart when we finally get it going. Karun, down to you. Safety cars coming in at the end of this lap.
Okay, then just a quick one. Martin, you
Crazy shit.
talking about how the safety car did appear to be going a bit slow. I tell you what, I watched that gaggle of cars, the lapped ones, come past me, the likes of Albon, Hulkenberg, and so on. They were flying past because obviously they had to catch the lap up. Sainz, if you were Sainz, you'd be a bit nervous because Albon's going to ride right behind you with a hot set of tyres. But yeah, battle up for the front trophy, all to play for.
We have seen 3 cars try and emerge into turn 1, side by side by side. Hamilton got the better of that. Vettel lost out. What's going to happen this time around, I wonder?
And a new regulation for this year, you don't overtake at the first safety car line. You can't overtake until you cross the line, as they call it, capital L, which is the start line.
Yeah.
Basically, you cannot overtake until that point. So Hamilton...
Yeah, they forgot that in Abu Dhabi as well.
He will become the de facto safety car. He controls the pack. The 10-length car rule falls away now.
Because he only did it for a little while, but by the time they did cross the start-finish line, he wasn't ahead at that point. So that doesn't matter. We don't have to apply penalties for that.
Now it's Lewis that's in charge, and he can bolt just when he likes, but he's got to get...
Albon in 11th. Is he able to challenge Sainz in 10th?
Give the safety car enough time to get out of the road.
So when the safety car goes into the lane, Lewis Hamilton can lead the charge to...
And it's ending, and it's ending. Wow. Hope you're all excited now. Have you been hyped up by the show? Is the show quite easy to understand? Do you understand the purpose of the regulations now? Do you understand that if this show has to be stopped because of having to deal with a safety incident, all that's happened before gets wiped out, and the only way we start the show again is like this. All of these cars are in the right race order, and all of the advantages that have been built up beforehand are wiped out. Okay, there is a difference in that. Sometimes, well, when cars have been lapped twice, they do kind of get forgotten about. Okay, this is something that probably does need looking at in terms of defining, because the rules and regulations don't define cars that have been lapped twice, but certainly every time that cars that have just been lapped once are in the race, this is what has to happen. These are the reasons. It is as simple as that. And anybody that wants to jump up with the argument, yeah, but what about 2-lapped cars? Okay, that doesn't change this. It doesn't change this simple reality of the truth of what the purpose is. It doesn't change it. All right, you want to clutch at straws to validate your desires. The bottom line is there are clear sporting rules and regulations for the purpose of running a sport, and the governing body of that sport claims it doesn't know. The media of that sport, contracted by that sport, claims to you, the watching viewer, oh, we don't know. Anything can happen. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's all exciting, isn't it? It's not authentic. It's not authentic. They did so because they lied to you. How is it that you don't have a clear description of something that has happened and can clearly show you, well, this is why we do this? It is not just so that it gets them out of the way. In Brazil 2019, Pierre Gasly was one of these lapped cars. He was then released and given the chance to catch the back of the pack. He went on to finish second in that race. That's not getting him out of the way so that he doesn't interfere with the race between the leaders. It is restoring sporting fairness to his race so that he still has the opportunity to compete in that race. Something that he demonstrated he still had the ability to do so because he finished second in that race. So you're hearing lies all the time from these talking heads of the sport, paid to lie to you and validate an agenda. Sell the product to the simple minds that don't understand the product but are just excited by it, but just keep them excited and keep taking their money. Keep taking their money. That is what this show is all about. That's what it's all about. And what this channel is all about is exposing these corrupt fuckers that have committed a crime, are not being held to account for it, made billions, and cheated a man out of his valid accomplishment. Lewis Hamilton is a valid 8-time world champion, and in sport, you do not cheat anybody out of a valid accomplishment. That is an injustice. That's intolerable, and injustices in life are intolerable. It pollutes societal values. It's run by tyranny. And that is the way our world is ran. And unless we start challenging this, it is going to continue to impact all of our lives. Those with the wealth and the power will use the media to give you a corrupt narrative that validates their agenda, conditions you to believe in the things that are benefiting them, to believe, oh yeah, this is just the way it is. This is the only way of doing it. There's nothing that you can do about it. But this is for the best anyway. Your lives stay as they are. Your lives are difficult. They're billionaires. They've got the power to control the media to tell you, oh yeah, this is just the way it is. This is just the way it is. It's a lie. And people need to wake up to this whole dynamic. This is far bigger than Formula One, but this is an example of how a corrupt enterprise, a billionaire enterprise whose value went from 9 billion to 13.8 billion in that 2021 season, through manufacturing this exciting battle where they didn't apply the rules to one driver to ensure that he wasn't penalised and therefore enabled to still be in that title battle, right? They enabled that to make them money, to keep as many viewers interested as possible, to attract viewers. And when you've got eyes on the screen, you've got sponsors wanting to put their names on there so that they get their products, the exposure that they want for people to buy their shit. You expose that as being a fraud, then none of them sponsors want anything to do with it. All of them car manufacturers that are the teams, oh yeah, that's not good for our image, is it? So Toto Wolff shuts his mouth and says nothing and protects the interests of the wealthy. protects his own interests. Billionaire Toto, a third share owner of the Mercedes team. You show that sport up to be corrupt. What happens to the perceived value of your team? People aren't interested in watching a corrupt show that they've just been told has been contrived. That's damaging. All of these expensive brands that want to put their brands on your car. Yeah, I'm not putting my brand on a Formula One car. They're all corrupt, aren't they? They all contrive results. That's not what I want to be associated with. Oh, that's a problem, isn't it? What happens to the share value of Liberty Media then? That's a problem. Wake up, people. Wake up. Subscribe to the channel. You'll see a lot more of this because it's all going to be exposed. And my analysis of the FIA report into Abu Dhabi is going to come out soon. And it'll be revealing. I know 15-year-old children that could have done a better job of it. It is truly ridiculous. Anyway, thanks for your time.